There comes a time in life when you finally stop chasing, not because you've given up, but because you've realized there's nothing left to chase. For most of my years, I was caught in a quiet, invisible race, a race toward more things, more comfort, more approval, more of everything I thought life was about. It wasn't greed, it was habit. The world whispers into your ear from the time you're young that happiness is just a little further down the road, after the next purchase, the next job, the next success. So you run faster, work harder, and fill your home and your heart with things you don't really need. And yet, peace never arrives. Looking back, I can see how easily wanting becomes a way of life. I wanted a bigger home once. Then, when I got it, I wanted to fill it. I wanted new furniture, new dishes, new clothes, the kind that made me feel like I was moving forward somehow. But I wasn't moving anywhere meaningful. I was simply circling the same mountain, thinking the next thing would take me higher. What I didn't realize then was that wanting is like a treadmill. The faster you run, the more exhausted you become, and yet you never really arrive. When I first began to let go of things, it wasn't an intentional act of simplifying. It happened almost by accident. I remember when my partner and I moved into this house many years ago. We packed a truck and a trailer full of boxes, thinking we'd need every single thing to make this new place feel like home. But when we arrived and started unpacking, I looked around and thought, why do we have all this? It felt heavy, not just physically but spiritually. Every item seemed to ask something of me, to be cleaned, organized, stored, or remembered. So I did something that surprised even me. I started giving things away, right there and then. To the driver who helped us move, I said, please take this, take that too, you can have it, just take it away. I didn't feel loss, I felt relief. That day marked the quiet beginning of something new. Without planning it, I had stepped off the treadmill of wanting and onto the gentle ground of enough. Over time, I began to understand that the peace I was searching for had been waiting all along beneath the clutter. Every drawer I cleared, every item I released, created a little more room to breathe. I noticed the sunlight again. I noticed the sound of birds in the garden. I noticed how a single cup of tea in the morning could hold more joy than all the purchases I'd made in a year. It was as if life had been whispering all along, you already have what you need, just stop long enough to see it. It took me decades to learn that simplicity isn't about having less, it's about wanting less. The moment you stop wanting, you step into a stillness that's almost sacred. You realize that contentment doesn't come wrapped in boxes or labeled with price tags. It comes in moments. A slow walk through your garden, the laughter of someone you love, a warm dog curled at your feet. Now, at 80, I can say that I am not rich in the way the world measures wealth, but I am rich in peace. I have a roof over my head, food to eat, a heart that still feels, and a soul that has learned to rest. I no longer live with the ache of wanting. The constant reaching that once filled my days has been replaced by a deep, quiet gratitude. Sometimes people ask me when I decided to live simply, and I smile because there was never a grand decision. Life has its own way of teaching you what matters, sometimes gently, sometimes through loss or exhaustion. For me, simplicity was not a philosophy I chose. It was a gift that arrived when I finally stopped running. The peace that comes with letting go is not the peace of having nothing. It is the peace of knowing that what you already have is enough. And enough, I've learned, is a beautiful word. 1. The trap of wanting. Let's learning to stop chasing. When I look back at my younger years, I can almost laugh at the energy I poured into wanting. It was endless, like a fire that refused to go out. There was always something just out of reach that I believed would make me happier, more fulfilled or more complete. A new car, a better sofa, a larger house, a holiday somewhere far away. And each time I reached one goal, another appeared on the horizon. I was always almost there, but never there. It's strange how society teaches us that progress equals happiness. We're told to climb, to achieve, to upgrade. And so, I did. Every time I earned a little more, I spent a little more. Every time I bought something new, I felt that quick flash of satisfaction. That little spark that says, now, you've made it. But it always faded. Always. Then came the quiet craving for the next thing. That cycle became a rhythm, familiar, exhausting, and utterly hollow. I remember once walking through a shopping center, surrounded by people carrying bags, faces glowing with the thrill of purchase. I wasn't much different. I'd worked hard for years, and I thought I deserved to treat myself. Yet even as I swiped my card and carried those new possessions home, there was an emptiness that no amount of buying could fill. I began to realize that wanting had become my default setting, an invisible itch I kept scratching, without asking why it was there in the first place. The trap of wanting isn't built overnight. It starts small, a desire for comfort, a sense of belonging, a need for validation. We want to be seen, admired, and loved. And somewhere along the way, we confuse those human needs with material things. We think a beautiful home means a beautiful life. We think if we own more, we'll feel secure. But possessions, I discovered, can never give you what only peace can. The turning point came the day we moved into this house, the home I now cherish for its simplicity. We had boxes upon boxes, furniture we didn't need, trinkets we didn't even remember buying. I stood among it all and thought, what am I doing? That was the first moment I saw the absurdity of it, the sheer weight of stuff. Every object carried a memory, a reason, or an excuse. And yet, most of it didn't make my life richer. It only cluttered my space and my mind. So, I began to let go. Slowly, at first, a few items here, a few there. It felt awkward, like cutting ties with a part of myself. But as the rooms grew lighter, something inside me did too. I began to notice a change in my thoughts. I wasn't thinking about what to buy next. I was thinking about how good it felt to breathe freely in my own home. The noise in my mind, that constant hum of what's next, began to quiet. It's funny how stuff can own you without you realizing it. You think you possess it, but in truth it possesses your time, your attention, your peace. Each thing requires care, cleaning, storage, maintenance, all small, invisible threads tying you to it. And when those threads finally fall away, you feel weightless. That experience taught me something profound. Wanting never ends on its own. You have to decide to end it. No one can do it for you. It's a conscious choice to stop feeding the hunger that society keeps alive through advertising, comparison, and pride. I realized that the more I wanted, the further I drifted from gratitude. I couldn't see the blessings I already had because I was too busy staring at what I didn't. Once I stepped out of that cycle, I began to find pleasure in the smallest things. A morning breeze through the window, the soft hum of my old kettle, a handwritten note from a friend. These things cost nothing, but they filled me in ways that nothing bought ever could. I no longer needed more. I began to understand that enough was a moving target, until you decide to hold it still. Living simply doesn't mean you stop appreciating beauty or comfort. It means you stop confusing desire with need. I still enjoy nice things, a good cup of coffee, a cozy chair, a walk in nature. But these are not cravings. They're moments of presence. I no longer live in pursuit of happiness. I live within it, because it was never somewhere out there. It was always right here, waiting for me to slow down long enough to notice. If I could speak to my younger self, I would tell them this: you don't have to chase joy. You can't buy peace. And no matter how far you run, it's always waiting in the same place, within you. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop wanting, the world finally opens up. Now, I look around my home and smile at how little I own and how much I have. The walls aren't filled with decorations, but with light. The shelves aren't crowded, but the air feels open. In this simplicity, I've discovered a truth that's worth more than gold. When you have enough, you are free, too. A life that grew simpler, not smaller. People often think that when you simplify your life, you're shrinking it, that you're giving things up, narrowing your world, or living with less joy. But the truth I've found is the exact opposite. My life didn't become smaller when it became simpler. It became deeper. It stopped stretching thin in every direction, chasing 100 little distractions, and instead began to root itself in what mattered most. Simplicity, for me, wasn't a sudden decision. It was a slow unfolding, like a flower that opens one petal at a time. I didn't wake up one morning and declare, "From now on I'll live simply." It was more like the quiet realization that the pace I was living at was unsustainable, that the clutter around me mirrored the clutter inside me. Gradually, I began to make small choices that brought stillness instead of noise, calm instead of chaos. At first, it was about clearing physical space. My home used to be filled with ornaments, photos, and souvenirs, little pieces of the past that I thought defined me. But as I let go of them, I noticed something unexpected. I began to breathe easier. Rooms that once felt heavy now felt alive with air and light. The fewer objects there were to distract me, the more beauty I noticed in what remained. The shape of sunlight on a wooden table, the sound of wind in the trees, the scent of bread baking in the oven. These small things, once overlooked, became treasures. Simplicity also transformed my daily rhythm. I no longer rush through mornings or fill every hour with activity. Instead, I begin my day with a slow cup of tea, watching the steam rise and listening to the quiet hum of the world waking up. My garden has become my companion, a place where I tend not just to plants, but to my thoughts. Pulling weeds has become a kind of meditation. Watching something grow under your care reminds you that life doesn't need to be complicated to be meaningful. People sometimes ask if I ever get bored living like this. My answer is always the same. Never. There's a richness in slowness that most people never get to taste. When you stop filling your days with noise, you start to hear the quiet music of life, the small sounds, the gentle moments that used to slip past unnoticed. I notice the way my dog sighs when he curls up beside me. I notice the laughter of children down the street. I notice how the sky changes color at dusk, how the first stars appear one by one, shy and steady. There's a kind of intimacy that grows between you and your own life when you stop chasing the next thing. You begin to live with your moments instead of running through them. That's what I mean when I say, my life grew deeper, not smaller. Simplicity stripped away the excess and left only the essence. And the essence, I discovered, was more than enough. Of course, there are still responsibilities, bills, and tasks to manage. Living simply doesn't mean living without reality, but it does mean you stop letting the unimportant rule your days. I used to fill my time with things I thought were necessary, meetings, errands, lists that never ended. Now, I see that many of them were distractions dressed as obligations. I learned to ask myself, does this truly add to my peace? If the answer is no, I let it go. Over time, this practice has shaped not just how I live, but who I am. I find myself more patient, less reactive. When things go wrong, as they inevitably do, I don't spiral into worry. I breathe, I adjust, I carry on. There's a calmness that comes from knowing you don't need much to be happy, that even if the world grows noisy, you can stay still inside. Simplicity is not about living without joy. It's about learning where true joy hides. I used to look for it in grand experiences, new places, big celebrations, plans for tomorrow. Now I find it in the soft moments, watering the plants at sunset, sharing a quiet meal, feeling the evening breeze on my face. It's astonishing how full a simple life can feel once you stop comparing it to anyone else's idea of success. Sometimes I think that our greatest mistake as human beings is believing that more equals better. But the heart doesn't work that way. The heart only knows fullness. And fullness doesn't depend on quantity, it depends on attention. When you give your full attention to one moment, one person, one simple pleasure, it expands infinitely. I often sit outside at dusk, a cup of tea in my hands, and feel that the world has never been so abundant. The birds still sing, the earth still breathes, and I, just one small human being, get to be part of it all. There's no rush, no competition, no race to win. Only this quiet, vivid, blessed moment. My life may look smaller from the outside now. Fewer things, fewer plans, fewer possessions, but inside it feels vast, spacious, light and complete. And I've come to understand that simplicity doesn't take life away. It gives it back. 3. The true riches of life. When I was younger, I thought richness was something you could count. Money in the bank, a house by the sea, fine clothes neatly hung in a wardrobe. Those were the symbols of success, the proof that life had gone well. But now, at 80, when I sit in my small sunlit kitchen with a pot of tea and a slice of toast, I know a different kind of wealth. The kind that doesn't show up on paper or in a photograph. I am rich in peace, in laughter, in the stillness that fills my mornings. I am rich in the gentle rhythm of my days, waking up beside the person I love, feeding the dog who waits patiently at my feet, walking through a garden that hums softly with life. These are not possessions, they're presents. They can't be bought or stored. They can only be lived. It took me a long time to learn that money and things can only decorate a life. They can't nourish it. I've met people who had far more than I ever did, yet they carried worry like a shadow. They were always protecting, always counting, always fearing loss. I used to envy them. Their freedom to travel, their fine furniture, their endless choices. But now I see that freedom is not having everything you want. It's wanting what you already have. My garden, for instance, has become my little kingdom. I can lose myself for hours among the flowers, the soil, the tiny insects busy with their daily work. There's something sacred about growing things, a quiet partnership between you and nature. You learn patience, you learn humility, you learn that beauty takes time and care, not control. When I see a new bloom open, I feel the same sense of awe I did as a child. It reminds me that life keeps offering small miracles to those who slow down enough to see them. Richness, to me, is also about relationships. The people and creatures who share this journey with me. My partner, my dog, my neighbors who wave as they pass. They make my world whole. I've learned that real connection doesn't need grand gestures. It lives in the small, consistent acts of love. Making someone a cup of tea, listening when they speak, remembering the details that matter to them. Love, in its simplest form, is the truest wealth I've ever known. I often think about how different my definition of success has become. I used to measure it in achievements, how much I could do, how much I could earn, how much I could build. Now, I measure it in contentment. Did I laugh today? Did I make someone smile? Did I watch the sunset without rushing to the next thing? If the answer is yes, I consider the day a success. The world doesn't make it easy to think this way. Everywhere you look, there are reminders that you're supposed to want more. New phones, new cars, new dreams to chase. But the older I get, the clearer it becomes. Abundance is not about addition, it's about appreciation. You can have very little and still feel abundant if your heart is awake to it. There's a richness in knowing that everything I truly need, I already have. I have a warm bed, food to eat, love to give and receive, and enough health to walk in the sun. When you strip life down to its essence, these are the things that matter. Everything else is decoration. Lovely, perhaps, but not essential. Sometimes I wonder why it takes us so long to see this. Maybe it's because we have to go through the noise first. The ambition, the comparison, the endless striving to recognize the quiet gift of enough. You can't appreciate simplicity until you've been tangled in complexity. You can't feel the beauty of peace until you've wrestled with wanting. I had to live through both before I could understand that richness was never about having more, it was about needing less. I've come to believe that the truest wealth is inner, a richness of soul that can't be taken by circumstance. When you're content inside, it doesn't matter whether the world is generous or difficult. You carry your peace with you. You stop measuring life by what happens to you and start experiencing it for what it is, unpredictable, imperfect, but deeply precious. There's a moment every evening just before dusk when the light softens and the air grows cool. I sit on the porch and watch the world exhale, the birds settling in the trees, the sky shifting to gold. That moment, quiet and ordinary, feels like wealth to me. I think to myself, this is it. This is living. And perhaps that's the greatest truth I've learned in 80 years. That richness isn't about ownership, but about appreciation. It's not what fills your house, but what fills your heart. It's not in the noise of more, but in the silence of enough. Today, I count my riches not in numbers, but in moments, in the peace of morning light, the the sound of laughter, the warmth of a hand in mine. That's all the treasure I'll ever need. 4. Staying young at 80, the mind that refuses to grow old. People often tell me, "You don't seem 80." I smile when I hear that because I don't feel 80. Not in the way most people imagine it. Not as something stiff, slow, or faded. I feel light, playful, even. There are mornings when I wake up and the world still feels new, like I'm discovering it for the first time. I think that's the secret. Staying young isn't about defying age. It's about refusing to let your spirit harden. I've never liked the idea that growing old means becoming serious, or that you have to stop being silly just because you have more candles on your cake. There's a quiet rebellion in keeping your heart young. I still laugh at small things, at the way my dog chases his tail, at my own forgetfulness when I put my glasses in the fridge. I still dance in the kitchen when my favorite song plays, even if no one's watching. Perhaps especially because no one's watching. A youthful spirit, I think, has less to do with how your body moves and more to do with how your mind moves. The body will slow, that's inevitable. But the mind, the way you see the world, that can stay fresh if you let it. Curiosity keeps you young. Wonder keeps you young. Gratitude keeps you young. The day you stop being curious, stop noticing beauty, stop saying wow to simple things, that's the day age truly catches up. When I was younger, I used to think time was a ladder, something I was climbing toward an end. Now I see it more like a circle. Each day brings me back to the same simple truths. Love, laughter, peace, kindness. Those don't age. They don't expire. I may not move as quickly or remember every name, but I still wake up wanting to feel alive. And I do. In the smell of rain, the warmth of a hug, the sweetness of a ripe tomato from my garden. Life doesn't run out. It just changes its rhythm. I've noticed that people my age often talk about the time they have left. I understand that it's natural to be aware of the years behind you and the few ahead, but I've never been able to say that phrase comfortably, time left. It feels like waiting for something to end. And I'm not waiting for anything. I'm living now, fully, completely, gratefully. The clock doesn't own me anymore. Sometimes when I drive into town, I place my hands on the steering wheel exactly the way my mother taught me. 10 to 2, she'd say. I can almost hear her voice beside me. Those drives make me feel connected, not to the past in a sad way, but to the continuity of living. It reminds me that time isn't something slipping away. It's something flowing through us, carrying us along. When I laugh or remember her words, that's her living through me. And in that sense, none of us ever truly grow old. We just keep passing the light forward. To stay young at 80, you must learn to see beauty without expectation. I've stopped comparing my life to what it used to be or what it might have been. That kind of comparison is poison. Instead, I look at what is here, right now. The wrinkles on my hands tell stories of things I've touched, built, and held. The silver in my hair is a map of the years I've lived. Why would I wish any of that away? Aging, when you look closely, is not loss, it's accumulation. It's life adding layer upon layer of experience, wisdom, and grace. I often think youth is wasted on the young, not because they don't deserve it, but because they haven't yet learned how precious it is. When you're older, you know that time is a gift, not a guarantee. You learn to savor it, to sip life slowly instead of gulping it down. That's how I stay young, by noticing, by cherishing, by laughing even when things don't go my way. The truth is, my body reminds me every day that it's 80. I can't deny that. Some mornings are stiff. Some tasks take longer than they used to. But I refuse to let those limits define me. I've stopped seeing them as barriers and started seeing them as invitations. Invitations to slow down, to do things with more care, more presence. There's beauty in not rushing. There's dignity in gentleness. People often ask me if I'm afraid of aging. My answer is always no. Aging is not the enemy. Fear is. Fear drains the joy out of the years you still have. I don't spend my days counting them. I spend them living them. Each one feels like a small blessing, another chance to breathe, to love, to be part of this miraculous, unpredictable world. To stay young at 80, I've learned to keep saying yes. Yes to a walk in the rain. Yes to a new book. Yes to a cup of tea with a stranger. The heart grows old when it starts saying no to life, when it closes itself off out of fear, regret, or fatigue. I try to keep my heart open, even when it hurts a little, especially then, because that's when you know you're still alive. So no, I don't think of myself as an old woman. I think of myself as a young soul who's been lucky enough to see 80 years of mornings. I still laugh, still love, still wonder what tomorrow will bring. My steps may be slower, but my spirit is as light as ever. And if there's one thing I know for sure, it's this. Staying young has nothing to do with how long you live. It has everything to do with how deeply you keep loving life. Ooh, the lessons of loss, my mother and the meaning of grief. Loss has a strange way of reshaping your soul. It strips away the layers you thought made you strong and leaves you standing bare, learning how to breathe all over again. My mother's death was like that for me, the moment the earth shifted beneath my feet, and I realized that no amount of simplicity or peace could completely shield a heart from breaking. My mother and I shared a bond that was more than love. It was companionship, understanding, and the quiet rhythm of two lives intertwined over decades. We lived together for many years, caring for one another in ways that only a mother and child can. She looked after me when I was small and uncertain. I looked after her when she grew frail and tired. Our days were filled with little rituals: tea at 4 o'clock, laughter over the smallest things, gentle arguments about how to prune the roses or season the soup. It was a relationship built not on grand gestures, but on the steady, ordinary moments that create a life. When she fell ill, I told myself I was prepared. She had lived a long life, and I thought I'd accepted that she wouldn't be here forever. But when the time came, nothing could have prepared me for the silence that followed her last breath. The house that once echoed with her voice suddenly felt hollow. The air itself seemed heavier, as though grief had weight. I remember walking through each room, half expecting her to appear, her slippers by the bed, her teacup still on the counter. It was as if the world had continued spinning, but mine had stopped. Those early days after she passed were the darkest of my life. I sank into a fog where everything felt meaningless. I didn't know who I was without her. I had spent so long being her daughter, her companion, her caretaker, that when she was gone, I felt like half a person left behind. Grief has a way of stealing time. Hours and days blend together. You wake, you breathe, but nothing feels real. I remember sitting in the garden one morning, watching the light fall through the leaves, and thinking, how can the world still be beautiful when she's not in it? But slowly, life has its way of reaching for you, like sunlight through the cracks. The garden she loved so much began to bloom again, and I started to see her in everything that grew. The roses she planted still open each spring. The lavender she tended still fills the air. I began to talk to her, quietly, as if she were just in the next room. I'd tell her what I was cooking for dinner, how the dog was behaving, or how the sky looked that day. It wasn't madness, it was memory. Keeping her close through conversation helped me heal. There was a phrase my mother always said when things were difficult: "Keep going, my love, just keep going." I used to hear it when I was heartbroken or lost. Now, I hear it still, in my mind, in my quiet moments. Grief, I've learned, never leaves completely. It softens, it transforms. It becomes a companion you walk beside instead of a shadow that follows you. You never get over losing someone you love. You learn to live alongside the absence. You build a life around the space they once filled. And that, too, is love. In time, I realized that my grief was also a reflection of gratitude, that I hurt so deeply only because I had loved so deeply. What a privilege it is to have someone whose absence echoes so loudly in your heart. That's how I began to heal, by being thankful instead of bitter. Instead of asking, why did she have to go? I began to say, how lucky I was to have had her for so long. Gratitude doesn't erase the pain, but it gives it meaning. It transforms sorrow into remembrance. Now, when I drive into town, I place my hands on the steering wheel at 10 to 2. Just like she taught me when I first learned to drive. It's a small, almost comical detail, but to me it's sacred. Each time I do it, I feel her beside me, calm, guiding, reminding. She's no longer here in body, but she's everywhere in spirit. In my mannerisms, in my laughter, in my garden. I've come to understand that we never truly lose the people who shaped us. They simply live in us, folded into our ways of being. Her death taught me something profound about life, that everything, even love, must one day be let go, not forgotten, not discarded, but released, so that it can become something else. Memory, wisdom, a quiet strength that carries you forward. I no longer fear loss the way I once did. It's not an enemy, but a teacher. It reminds us of what matters most, that every moment is temporary, every breath a gift, every goodbye an invitation to love harder while we can. If grief has softened anything in me, it's my judgment of others. You never truly know what someone carries. A smile may hide 1,000 unspoken goodbyes. Loss makes you gentler, it humbles you. It reminds you that life is fragile and that kindness is never wasted. My mother used to say, "Be kind, always. You never know when someone's heart is breaking." Now, I carry that with me every day. Losing her changed the landscape of my life, but it also illuminated its essence. It taught me that the measure of a good life isn't how long it lasts, but how deeply it's lived and how lovingly it's remembered. When I look at the world now, I see her fingerprints everywhere, in the flowers that bloom, in the recipes I still cook, in the warmth I try to give to others. Grief, I've learned, doesn't close the heart. It stretches it. It makes room for more compassion, more understanding, more tenderness. My mother's passing was a dark chapter, but from it grew a light that still guides me. She taught me how to live, and in her leaving, she taught me how to let go, gracefully, gratefully, and without fear. And so, even though she's gone, she is still here, in every act of love, in every gentle word, in every moment. I choose peace over bitterness. That is her legacy, and I carry it forward with quiet pride. 6. Love them all. The freedom of forgiveness. If there's one truth that time and loss have taught me, it's this. Life is far too short to hold on to anger. It passes in a blink. One day you're laughing with someone, and the next they're gone, or changed, or distant. When you reach my age, you start to see how many moments were wasted on pride, on misunderstandings, on the small, stubborn refusal to say, "I forgive you." And for what? To be right? To win an argument that time will erase anyway? No. Peace is far more precious than pride. There was a time, years ago, when I held grudges, maybe not loudly, but quietly, in the corners of my heart. I'd replay old conversations, old hurts, telling myself I was justified. But resentment is like dust. You barely notice it settling. And then one day you realize it's covered everything. It dulls your joy, your compassion, your lightness of being. You think you're punishing the other person by holding on, but all you're really doing is poisoning yourself. As I grew older, I began to see how pointless it all was. People hurt each other, not always out of cruelty, but often out of confusion, fear, or pain. And I realized that forgiveness isn't about pretending it didn't happen or letting someone off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of it. It's saying, "I choose peace over poison." That's the real gift of forgiveness, not to them, but to you. There are people in my past I once thought I'd never be able to face again. People who disappointed me, or betrayed me, or simply drifted away without explanation. But when I think of them now, I don't feel bitterness. I feel compassion for them, for myself, for the messiness of being human. We all stumble, we all say the wrong thing, act out of fear, make mistakes we wish we could undo. When I remember that, forgiveness comes naturally. It's like setting down a heavy bag you didn't realize you'd been carrying for years. Sometimes I imagine meeting those people again. I picture myself smiling, opening my arms and saying, "I love you." And I mean it. Not in a romantic way, but in the way one soul recognizes another and says, "We did our best." Because in the grand story of life, that's all any of us can do. Our best, with what we knew at the time. I often tell people that forgiveness is the most liberating act you can perform. It doesn't erase the past, but it reclaims your present. When you forgive, You make space inside yourself for kindness to grow again. You stop living in reaction and start living in peace. I've found that once you let go of resentment, even your body feels lighter, your breath deepens, your sleep softens. It's as if forgiveness rewires not only your mind but your entire being. And I don't just mean forgiving others. One of the hardest things in life is learning to forgive yourself. For the words you shouldn't have said, for the moments you missed, for the things you didn't know then but do now. I've had to sit quietly with my own regrets, not to punish myself, but to learn, to say I did the best I could at the time and that has to be enough. That too is an act of love. Forgiveness has also changed how I see people in general. When I meet someone now, I don't see their flaws first, I see their story. Everyone carries something unseen. The quiet neighbor, the impatient cashier, the friend who withdraws, they all have chapters you know nothing about. Understanding that has made me softer. I've come to believe that being kind, even when it's undeserved, is one of the greatest forms of strength. When I walk through town, I try to meet every face with warmth, not out of obligation, but because I genuinely feel connected to everyone. We're all just travelers passing through, each with our joys and wounds. Sometimes I reach out for a handshake, but it turns into a hug, and that feels right. A small act of love can ripple through the world in ways we'll never see. I suppose that's what I want people to remember me by. Not what I achieved, but how I treated others. I want to be remembered as someone who chose love over bitterness, who hugged freely, who forgave quickly, and who believed that every person deserves kindness, even when they don't know how to ask for it. In the end, forgiveness and love are the same thing. Both are acts of release, of letting go of the walls that separate us. When you love, you let go of fear. When you forgive, you let go of pain. Together, they open the heart to life again. Now, as I move through my days, I find peace not because everything is perfect, but because I no longer expect it to be. People will come and go. Some will love you deeply, others will hurt you without meaning to. But all of them will teach you something about yourself, about patience, empathy, and the quiet courage it takes to love anyway. So, love them all. Love the ones who stayed and the ones who left. Love the ones who understood you and the ones who never could. Love them, because love is not about who deserves it, it's about who needs it. And we all need it. When I lie in bed at night, thinking over the long stretch of my life, I realize that every act of forgiveness, every choice to love instead of resent, has been a step toward freedom. My heart feels lighter for it. My spirit feels at peace. And if I could leave behind one lesson, it would be this: you don't have to be right. You just have to be kind. 7. The art of contentment. Contentment is one of those quiet words that doesn't get enough attention. It's not loud or dramatic. It doesn't make headlines or demand applause. But to me, contentment is the highest form of happiness. A peace that sits deep inside you, unshaken by the world's noise. It's the gentle exhale after a long life of holding your breath. I didn't always understand what it meant to be content. For much of my life, I mistook excitement for joy and achievement for fulfillment. I thought I needed constant motion to feel alive. But contentment isn't found in the next adventure or the next goal, it's found in the pause between them, in the stillness where nothing needs to happen for you to feel whole. Now, when I wake up in the morning, I don't rush into the day. I lie there for a while, feeling the warmth of the sheets, the quiet hum of life outside the window. I remind myself that this simple moment is enough. My heart still beats. The sun has risen again. That's more than enough reason to smile. People often confuse contentment with complacency. They think being content means giving up or settling for less. But that's not it at all. Contentment is not resignation, it's recognition. It's seeing life exactly as it is and still saying, "This is good." It's gratitude without conditions. I find joy now in the smallest things. The smell of rain, the chatter of birds in the garden, the first sip of tea in the morning. These aren't grand experiences, they're small moments that, when noticed, reveal how full life already is. The secret, I think, is paying attention. When you stop rushing, life reveals its softness to you. You start to see the miracle in the mundane. Of course, There are still days when I feel aches in my bones or when the weather turns gray and my mood with it. Contentment doesn't mean being happy all the time. It means knowing that even sadness is part of the tapestry. It's accepting the ebb and flow without fighting against it. There's peace in that acceptance. I often sit in my garden and watch the light change through the day. Morning gold, afternoon silver, evening amber. Each stage is beautiful in its own way, just as every stage of life is. I used to long for the energy of youth, but now I see that this season, this quiet, reflective time, has its own richness. It's softer, slower, and filled with a wisdom I couldn't have understood before. Sometimes I look around my little home and feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude. I have everything I need, a roof that shelters me, food on my table, the laughter of loved ones, the steady presence of my dog at my feet. There is no hunger in my heart for more. That absence of want feels like freedom. In my younger years, I used to say, one day, when I have this or that, I'll be happy. But now I see how much time I wasted postponing joy. Happiness isn't a destination, it's the path itself, made of ordinary steps and ordinary days. If you can find contentment in the small things, life becomes endlessly abundant. To live contentedly is to trust that life knows what it's doing, that even when plans fall apart, something else quietly takes their place, that the world doesn't owe us anything, yet gives us everything if we know how to look. So I no longer chase, I no longer compare, I no longer measure my worth by what I own or what I do. My peace doesn't depend on circumstances, it lives in the calm acceptance of what is. And that, I think, is the art of contentment, knowing that the ordinary is extraordinary, that enough is truly enough, and that every breath is a quiet miracle. If there's one gift old age has given me, it's this deep, steady contentment, the kind that doesn't need to be earned, bought, or proved. It's simply there, waiting to be noticed. And every time I pause long enough to feel it, in the stillness of the evening, in the rhythm of my own breathing, I realize how full life really is. Because in the end, contentment isn't about what you have, it's about how you see. And when your eyes finally learn to rest on the present, you discover that joy was never missing. It was just waiting for you to stop and look around. Finally, my wish is to be remembered with kindness. There's a certain peace that comes when you stop fearing the end. Not because you're ready to leave, but because you finally learned to live. I don't think much about how much time I have left. I prefer to think about how much life there is in each day I'm given. Still, as I grow older, the thought of parting no longer frightens me. It feels natural, like the soft closing of a book after a story well told. I don't want grand farewells or monuments when I'm gone. I've never seen the point of a plaque on a bench or a grave for people to visit for a few months and then forget. The weeds grow, the stone fades, and the memory becomes something distant. That's not how I wish to be remembered. When the time comes, I want my ashes to return to the earth, some to the sea that has always made me feel small and free, and some to the forest, where the wind can scatter me among the trees. That feels right. Quiet. Simple. Just another step in the cycle of life. What I do hope, though, is that when people think of me, they don't think of what I had or what I achieved. I want them to remember how I made them feel. I want to be remembered as a kind person, gentle, considerate, and warm. Someone who listened without judgment, who hugged freely, who smiled often. I don't need a legacy carved in stone. I'd rather have it carried softly in the hearts of those I've loved. In the end, kindness is the only thing that lasts. All the things we chase, money, recognition, possessions, they fade. But the way we treat people lingers in memory, sometimes long after we're gone. I've felt that truth myself when I think of my mother. It's not her belongings or accomplishments I remember. It's her tenderness, her laughter, her way of making me feel safe in the world. That's the kind of memory I want to leave behind. As I move through these later years, I try to live in a way that would make that wish come true, to leave traces of kindness wherever I go. It doesn't take much. A kind word, a patient ear, a smile to a stranger. The smallest gestures often ripple the furthest. You never know whose day you might brighten, whose burden you might lighten, simply by being gentle, I've also come to understand that being remembered kindly isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing up with sincerity, doing your best even when it isn't much, and loving without expectation. I've made mistakes. I've said things I regret, failed people I loved, turned away when I should have leaned in. But I hope that when others look back, they'll see that my heart was always trying, that I never stopped learning how to love better. As I sit here now, looking out at the garden that has witnessed so much of my life, its seasons of blooming and resting, of growing and letting go, I feel deeply at peace. The same rhythm exists in us. We sprout, we flourish, we fade, we return. There's beauty in that cycle. Knowing that my body will one day become part of the soil that feeds new life doesn't sadden me, it comforts me. It means that even after I'm gone, I'll still be part of the world I've loved so much. If I could whisper one last message to those who remain, it would be this: live gently. Don't rush through your days chasing things that won't matter in the end. Love fully, forgive freely, and be kind, not because life is short, but because it's sacred. Every act of kindness adds a little more light to the world, and that light doesn't die with you. It passes on, illuminating others long after your footsteps fade. When my time comes, I hope people won't gather in sadness but in gratitude, for shared laughter, for stories told, for the simple joy of having known one another. And if they stand by the sea or walk through the forest where my ashes rest, I hope they'll smile and think, she lived simply, she loved deeply, she left softly. That's all I wish for, to be remembered with kindness, to have lived a life that, while ordinary in many ways, was full of love in every corner. That, to me, is a life well lived. And as I breathe in the present moment, surrounded by everything I need and nothing I don't, I can honestly say, I am content. I am ready for whatever comes next, not because I seek it, but because I've finally learned the art of letting go.